Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah,
Today's
no problem.
date is July the 25th of 2025. Starting off real quick, could you please state your name?
Chris Falter,
Perfect. And where were you born?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth?
Yep.
Perfect. What were your parents' names?
Cosette Falter and Joe Falter.
Awesome. And what were their occupations?
My dad was a truck driver all my life. My mom, she worked multiple jobs. Whenever I was young, she worked at Alcon. She was making like medical supplies and stuff like that. And then from there, she went to various other jobs because they fired her because she had back surgery. It was weird. She had 20 plus years at that company, and they're just like, nope. Yeah, it was bad.
Alrighty. What primary and secondary schools did you attend?
What do you mean, like primary school?
Like elementary school, middle school, high school?
Gosh, what was it? Nettie Backus up there in Granbury, and then from there it was Crossland Intermediate, and then Granbury Middle School, and then Granbury High School. From there, obviously military MOS training, and then Tarleton.
Nice. Did you have any jobs prior to joining the service?
Yeah, I was a farrier. I shoot horses for a little bit.
Perfect. And was that throughout high school, after high school?
Both.
Both?
Yeah.
How long was it between high school and you enlisting?
About a year and a half, somewhere around there.
Year and a half?
Yeah.
And what made you want to join?
I was too poor to get loans to attend, well, here at Tarleton, and didn't really like the idea of racking up a bunch of student loan debt, so I withdrew from the university and went down to the Marine recruiter the very next day.
Nice. And what made you choose Marines?
I was in the Marine Corps JROTC in high school, and, well, figured why not. Wanted to see if I could do it.
Perfect.
It was fun.
And what year did you join?
2011.
Nice. When you joined up, did you, you enlisted, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what was boot camp like for you?
It had its fun moments.
Would you care to elaborate on that?
Pretty much if you did everything with speed, or quick, fast, and with the speed and intensity, like the drill instructors told you on day one, they left you alone. Otherwise, you spent a lot of time sweating. A lot of time sweating. Or holding a M16 out like this for hours on end. That sucked.
Was that ever you?
Yeah, because they would punish the entire platoon.
Gotcha. Perfect. What was your most vivid memory of training?
I guess it would be the Crucible, yeah. Finally reaching the top of the Reaper. After basically 3 days, the Crucibles is 3 days long. They basically starve you. They give you 2 MREs to eat the entire time. You end up hiking a grand total of between, I think it's 64 and 70 miles. With full main pack gear, black jacket, M16, stuff like that. And then they make you do a bunch of obstacle courses in the meantime. And then I just remember it was raining, and Southern California had the most unusual weather that year because it's normally warm year-round there. They had experienced one of the coldest winters, that particular winter of 2011 going into 2012. So I joined, my join date was September 25th, 2011. So by the time I got to the Crucible, it was December and it was cold. I remember my hands had frozen, literally froze to my rifle, because it was raining, and then it dropped below freezing and just more rain after that. My company commander was wondering why I couldn't take my hands off my rifle. So he spent an hour with a cigarette lighter, like thawing my hands off my rifle. That was great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was fun.
Would you say that that was a positive, or like that's definitively one of the worst memories from boot camp?
No, that was fun.
Yeah.
The worst one that I had was Halloween. They asked this one kid, I forget where he was, and he said earthquakes was his biggest fear. So at midnight, on the night of the 30th, at midnight when it officially became Halloween, all the drill instructors from our entire company come in, shaking everybody's rack, yelling earthquake, earthquake, and then we had this one drill instructor, we called him King Kong. And it's kind of racist if I think about it now, but that's what we called him because he was like 6'7", very tall, very strong black man. And the first night there, we had the field day, the barracks, or the squad bay, and we had these 55-gallon trash cans just full of water. He would pick them up and just throw them at us, knock us down, whatever, soak us in dirty mop water. And he came in with a bunch of sunscreen and decided to squeeze them all hard enough where he would get sunscreen all over the ceiling in our squad bay. So we had to field day the squad bay in the middle of the night quietly so they wouldn't get in trouble from the company commander. So we'd do that. And we were holding the mops up like this. And they said, no, hold a recruit upside down. That way you can mop the ceiling properly. So then we had to hold a bunch of people upside down so they could walk on the ceiling and mop. It was the dumbest, stupidest thing ever. And then the next day, we pretty much spent the entire day just playing games, as they would put it. I'm trying to put this in politically correct terms.
And what do you feel like the purpose of that was? Was it just a good laugh?
Oh, they were having a good laugh. I don't know, I wasn't laughing, but they were having a fun time. I'm like, they pretty much, every purpose of boot camp is just to kind of break you down, build you back up as a team, and that's pretty much what they did. And of course, so I was West Coast, so I went into boot camp at MCRD San Diego. First phase is in San Diego, second phase is at Camp Pendleton, and third phase is back at the recruit depot in San Diego. So they take you to Camp Pendleton so you can qualify with your rifle. I was the last company to qualify with iron sights before they switched over to the RCO optics, which I feel old because they've already retired that. Yeah. But, and pink eye would run, for whatever reason, was rampant in second phase. He's the maddest I've ever been was I told my bunkmate, don't touch my freaking sheets. Don't. Because every morning you have to get up and, make your rack and everything. And they're counting down by the numbers and giving you like not even 30 seconds to do it all. So, and that turd touched my pillow. And I ended up contracting pink eye because of that turd. I wanted to beat the ever-loving crap out of him, but I didn't. Sorry, that still irks me to this day.
No, that's good. Do you feel like, you get a lot of vaccines, and we haven't talked about this too much with other interviews, but you get a lot of vaccines, and a lot of people describe it as going down the line.
Oh, yeah, no.
Do you feel like it's because of the pink eye?
So have you ever seen the movie Schindler's List? Where they have all the Jews going through with that line before they dump them out into, the concentration camps. It's exactly like that, pretty much. Like they strip you down. You're basically in nothing but your underwear, and then you take a step. You have about 3 shots per arm, and I mean both arms. And you just keep taking a step, and at the end of that, there was 2 yellow footprints, so about a foot and a half back from the wall, and 2 yellow handprints, and they said drop your pants, and then that's whenever they'd give you a penicillin shot if you weren't allergic. That was the most painful shot I've ever got. I don't know if you've ever gotten a penicillin shot, but that stuff hurts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, it's pretty much you go down a line, like you have to sit there and make your medical record and everything in the dark because it starts, they take you to do that, I think, the first night or the first day, because you get there at night. They don't come pick you up from the San Diego airport like you're told. Once you arrive in San Diego, go to the USO and wait for the drill instructors, or wait for them to come pick you up, pretty much. And then you have to fill out your will and get all your gear and everything, and then you go back to the receiving barracks, stow away all your gear, get out of your civvies and into a uniform form, and then from there they pretty much take you over to make your medical record, and then you get all your shots. They do an eye exam, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Nice. What was your specific MOS?
I was a 6324 aviation electrician. I worked on avionic systems on Hueys and Cobras. I worked on the old two-bladed Cobras, so the AH-1W Super Cobra, and then I worked on AH-1 Zulu, which is the new Viper. And then I worked on UH-1Ys, which is the Venom, which is also the Huey.
Absolutely. And what specific training did you have to go to for that after you left boot camp?
So after boot camp, every Marine will go to what's called Marine Corps Combat Training, or MCT. And that lasts, it lasts about a month and a half. And from there, if you're aviation related, if your MOS is in aviation, for your A school, you get sent to Pensacola, Florida, where you will spend a couple of weeks waiting to class up. From there, you'll attend your A school. After that, you'll attend your B school there as well, once they figure it out, because they have an I level and O level. I level is basically you take components apart and fix them. O level is you actually work on the aircraft, not the components. So from the O level, I went O level because they gave us an option. My grades were high enough where they asked me, do you want to go I level or O level? I chose O level because I actually wanted to work on airplanes. They hadn't given me my platform at that point yet. But after I finished my B school, that's whenever I got assigned my platform. So my C school was in Camp Pendleton at CNAT. And that's where they actually taught you how to read the manuals, learn how to use the manuals, look stuff up in the manuals, and then actually work on the aircraft. From there, they will give you your orders to your unit.
Perfect.
Yep.
Do you feel like your training prepared you well for your career?
Sure. I mean, we're supposed to say that, but no. Well, my class only focused on four-bladed Hueys and Cobras. Whenever I got to my unit, we still had nothing but basically two-bladed Cobras and a few Hueys. So I basically had to start all over again and learn the two blades. Now, once you get a hang of the old two blades, because it's all analog and not digital, you learn what you can smack and what you can't smack to get it to work. I know that sounds bad, but those instrument lights in the cockpits, you just sit there and kind of pound like that, and it would get them all to turn on.
Absolutely.
I would do that. I was stationed at HMLA 369, otherwise known as the Gunfighters. I think I was there for maybe 3 days, and then Gunny come out and said, "Hey, we're the next ones in deployment rotation. We're going to Afghanistan, and we got to start doing workups." Okay, well, let's start doing workups. And then literally the day before that, the 2012 attack on Camp Bastion occurred, where the enemy had overrun the lines, got onto the flight line, and they launched Hueys inside the wire out there, and they basically ended up having to mow a bunch of people down with miniguns and 50 cals. Also, I have a good friend of mine. His name is Will King. He was a corporal, and he was on Camp Bastion that day, and he is still screwed in the head from it.
I'm sorry to hear about that.
No, I wasn't there. I was there, but he's getting better. You just have to keep calling him a knucklehead. He'll be better.
Absolutely. What was it like being fresh out of schooling and going straight to Afghanistan?
I did not go to Afghanistan. I was in line waiting to get on the plane. President Obama cut our numbers, but they did not deploy till about a year later after getting that news, because you have a bunch of workups that you have to do in order to go. But I was on the list until the numbers was cut. Pretty much right out of the gate, they handed me a bunch of components. We had there was a Cobra that needed 2 starters replaced. The old two blades used electric starters. They weighed about 75 pounds apiece. I only know this because I've actually had to go through smuggle one in my backpack through airport security. That's a fun story. And then I had two of those, a 75-pound toolbox, and then we didn't have like a computer back then for all our manuals. It was all still paper manuals. So I had a bunch of binders on top of that, and I just went waddling out on the flight line. Of course, back then I was, skinny. Skinny, but waddled out on the flight line, got out there, and then, one of the senior lance corporals there would be like, okay, you nugget. Nugget stands for new useless guy in training. This is what you're going to do. So I got up there, did all that, and then we got it all replaced. And then after that, it was just constant every day was pretty much the same thing. Find something. If something was broke, go out and fix it. And since helicopters like to vibrate themselves apart, there was always something to fix. My job, I do know this from everybody that I knew that did go to Afghanistan. Our jobs didn't change between if we're deployed or not. Pretty much on deployment, if you were night crew like what I was, you actually ended up working less hours, so you actually looked forward to a deployment because you worked less hours and got hazard pay on top of that until they took that away, but that's neither here nor there. On average, we worked between 16, 18 hours. I've worked up to 23-hour days before. It's not fun. Don't recommend.
What was your favorite job to fix?
We had what we called line troubleshooting, and that's whenever the helicopter would be turning on the ground, blade spinning while it's on the ground on startup, and they usually would have stuff pop up on them old birds because, you would pop open a belly panel and you'd find like grass from Vietnam and them things. Like they were old, and I got really good at being, they'd call in AVI if it was an AVI issue or airframes, but I got really good at knowing what to do to fix what while the aircraft was turning, what you can fix, what you can't fix. There's so much you have to memorize, right, to know what's safe for flight and what's not safe for flight, pretty much.
Absolutely. And you talked about how you are an independent, or you were at least an independent contractor after the military. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like what's safe for flight and what's not safe for flight has changed from then to now?
Not really, no. The primary mission of Hueys and Cobras out in Afghanistan, which is what they beat into our heads and trained us for while we was stateside, was basically they would run missions, of course, but the big thing that we did was troops in contact. And that generally means somebody's going to have a bad day if those helicopters don't get there. Whenever troops in contact or a TIC comes in, you have 5 minutes to get that aircraft out. Otherwise, your fellow Marines are on the ground, they're going to die. And so not only do I have to know what's safe for flight and what's not safe for flight, because if that aircraft's not safe for flight, well, they're going to crash and die before they even get to those other Marines. So you'd have to learn what's safe for flight, what's not safe for flight. It's very complex, and I don't think we have enough time to actually go into that much detail.
No time for a pre-flight checklist.
Well, no, you still do that. Our pilots get very fast at it. Basically what happens is whenever a pilot gets on duty, they will go out and they will pre-flight that aircraft. And then nobody touches that bird for the rest until it goes out. Basically the plane captains will DNT it, which basically daily and turnaround, they'll go and inspect everything, make sure it's actually more in-depth inspection than what the pilots will do. Pilots will go out there, they'll pop a couple panels off, check like the drive shafts, the main rotors, stuff like that, and then call it good. But then we wouldn't touch it, and then if something popped up and it wasn't safe for flight, we would tell them, kill it. And at that point, the co-pilot would start bailing out of that thing, and we'd start grabbing all their gear that they would have with them and start piling it into our backup aircraft, which is also pre-flighted and DNT'd and everything before at the beginning of the day. So once you did all that, you'd sprint to the next aircraft and get it up and going and get them out as quick as possible.
Nice. How many deployments did you go on?
I didn't go on any deployments.
None?
main thing I did was provide support back here in the States. Like when my unit was in Afghanistan, because they cut our numbers, so half of us stayed in the United States while the other half went to Afghanistan.
Gotcha.
We was having problems with water intrusion on our composite blades on the new 4-bladed Hueys. And what ended up happening was it rained in Afghanistan and then it snowed. So all that water that got in the blades froze, expanded, delaminated the blades. That led to me getting a phone call at like 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday saying, hey, get your butt to work. We got to get all these tail blades or tail rotor blades off these aircraft and sent to Afghanistan. I'm like, okay, Staff Sergeant, how many do we need? You're going down the entire flight line until we get enough. Oh, okay.
And ice is a major problem for aircraft.
Well, there's usually
if it's not
anti-icing.
hot.
Well, it's a little different on helicopters because you got to remember they're rotary wing, they're not fixed wing. So as long as those blades are able to tilt, back and forth to put air pressure down, because you got to remember those things will exert hurricane force winds upon takeoff. I've had to stand next to one in the desert in 29 Palms, have all that sand and dirt just fly at you. Yeah, it's like getting shot with a BB gun every time. But ice on the rotors aren't that big of a deal, because usually if it throws them off balance, they'll start vibrating so much that it will just shake the ice off. But like on the bell mouth, where basically the intakes for the engines, we have a heater for those to just prevent any icing. Thing like that.
Is there a memorable incident that made you the most proud during your time in the service?
That's a good one. I'm trying to think.
No, you're good. Take as long as you need.
We was in 29 Palms doing our last deployment workup before we actually had to deploy in like 3 months after that. It was summertime in the Mojave Desert. It was about 125 on that flight line. It's a steel deck flight line out there. There was no concrete, no nothing. Like your combat boots would start melting if you stood in place too long. And we were sending out aircraft, and all of a sudden I was the only AVI line troubleshooter out there, and 6 different aircraft all called for AVI at once, which means you're running around like crazy trying to fix helicopters. I managed to get them all fixed within about 5 minutes, and I was pretty proud of that.
As you should be.
Yeah, our AMO, or Aviation Maintenance Officer, he was, what was his name? I can't remember his name. He was a rank of major. He walked up after they got back, shook my hand. I thought that was pretty nice. That and one of the pilots like pulled out an ice cold Gatorade out of a lunchbox, and I was like, you drink about 1.5 gallons of water out there a day and still be dehydrated. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Very miserable.
Absolutely. Did you ever receive any promotions?
What do you mean, like rank? Yeah. I went in as a PFC, made Lance Corporal out in Pensacola. And then because of the whole drawdown of the size of the military that President Obama had ordered, it was extremely hard to pick up rank. I was a Lance Corporal for about 4 years, no, 3 years. And then I picked up a Corporal out in Camp Pendleton where I was stationed.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Perfect. Do you feel like any one of your ranks was most significant to you? A lot of people have said no. Some people have said, oh, this certain
getting promoted
promotion.
Getting promoted to Corporal or becoming an NCO in the Marine Corps is a pretty memorable event, because you get your blood stripes, you get your corporal chevrons, and of course it's considered hazing, but you'd always end up getting drugged to the head or something like that and getting the crap beat out of you for a couple hours, and then you'd be all fine and dandy. Indeed, they'd take your chevrons, because whenever they promote you, they don't put the backings on your chevron, so you got those sharp pins, and they'd sit there and jab them into your collarbone. Oh, and I remember my camis were like blood stained. It was great. Then I couldn't walk because people would knee you in your thighs to give you your blood stripes. couldn't walk for like a week and a half. It was great. That was my most memorable promotion.
Yeah.
And it was, of course, NCO. That's not a give me rank. You have to earn it.
Absolutely. And do you feel like with that promotion, you talked about, the process of getting your up in rank. However, do you feel like that was memorable to you for other reasons as well in terms of, where you were at in your career?
So there is a famous quote from an African American Air Force general back in Vietnam, when a reporter asked him if he thought the Marine Corps had a racism problem. He said, no, the Marine Corps does not have a racism problem. They treat everybody like they're black. It's true. Whenever I hit the fleet, you couldn't use if you didn't deploy, you couldn't use you know how the water fountains have two different levels, like a short one and a tall one? You weren't allowed to use the tall one. You had to bend down to use the little one. You weren't allowed to sit down in a chair, even if you were signing off a discrepancy in the computer system. You had to basically squat and hover under the desk and act like you were sitting in a chair. Or you weren't allowed to use your refrigerator or your microwave in your barracks room because you didn't, quote, rate. It was bad. And if you had nothing to do, you were in the wrong. You were supposed to be cleaning, and they would just sit there and throw stuff on the floor for you to have to clean up if they caught you doing nothing. Stuff like that, yep. Hardest part is having to stand at parade rest for a snot-nosed kid that had everything handed to him. I did not like that guy.
Absolutely. And do you care to elaborate on him?
No, not really.
That's fine. That's totally fine.
The sound of his voice would probably still piss me off.
Yeah. Did you form any friendships during that time?
Yeah. I got a buddy. He's currently in Ohio. He has 3 kids, and I'm the godfather of those kids. I helped raise his oldest daughter while we was in the Marine Corps. I still got plenty of close friends. Quite a few have committed suicide over the years, but still have plenty.
That's good. And I'm sorry to hear that you have friends that have commit.
22 veterans a day. Yeah, unfortunately.
How do you feel like that's impacted you? Do you feel like it's impacted you at all?
Oh, it always impacts you. Like the last one just pissed me off because that was like the 3rd funeral I had been to in, I think, a course of 3 months. I was pissed. And then especially here at Tarleton, whenever you have some snot-nosed kid on Veterans Day after you found out that a buddy just blew his brains out literally an hour before, walks up and with a sarcastic, unthankful tone says, "Thank you for your service," it makes you want to just bash their head in. But other than that, it's sad, but it is what it is.
Absolutely. Do you feel when people say thank you for your service, do you think there's genuine and ingenuine times?
Oh, absolutely. The only time I've ever actually had a genuine thank you for your service that I know of was from a fellow service member who had served also. So most of them, they just say it because that's what they were taught as kids. They don't mean it, especially most of the academics here.
Absolutely. And, mainly because I'm curious now. Mm-hmm. What about the thank you for your service comment at Tarleton makes you feel as though it's ingenuine and just been taught? Do you feel like there's ever been a time that a student here has been genuine about it?
Maybe once or twice, but most of them, they just come up just to be a sarcastic little shit. Pardon my language, but at least in the wildlife department, most of those professors, they're like, "Oh, you have VA benefits? Must be nice." Yeah. You have all your body parts and joints functioning? Must be nice. There's a reason why we get the VA benefits that we have.
Absolutely. So you feel as though there's a
it's very
disconnect and more of people only looking at the benefits and not the service being put forward.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, for whatever reason, academia is very locked into the 1960s. 60s where they view veterans as nothing more than baby killers and stuff like that.
Absolutely. Do you feel like within the community, even maybe military service isn't actually appreciated?
It varies from place to place, and mind you, I've lived all over the country. Most small towns, it means a heck of a lot more to them than like a big city like Los Angeles or something like that. But yeah, it definitely varies.
Absolutely.
Varies like, sorry, I just making me think of the spring semester. I had to actually file a formal complaint on one of my professors in grad school because he was literally discriminating against me just because I was a veteran.
Do you care to elaborate on that?
Oh, he'd get up there and just be like, "Yeah, the U.S. military is a piece of crap," and then he found out that myself and a few other students believed in God, so he'd sit up there and basically mock our religion and everything like that. Yeah, good old Dr. Muir. Don't recommend taking his class if you decide to be a grad student.
Gotcha.
Just saying.
And is it hard for you, being that, of course you joined the military to serve your country and fight for freedom within people? Is it hard for you to be like, that's who I fought for?
Yeah. It takes me a while to be able to calm down sometimes. Like I have to. Basically, the phrase I've come up with is they should thank their lucky stars that there is still a few Americans worth fighting for in this country.
Absolutely.
True, because I mean, most people are so disconnected. Like most of these. This is nothing cracked towards the young kids here at Tarleton, but they don't remember 9/11 actually taking place. Like I was alive whenever it happened. I was in 4th grade, but I still remembered it whenever I enlisted, and I was still very pissed off about it. But most of them just view it now as something that happened in a history book, and then you have like, politicians saying some people who did some things, and I'm just like, really?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it is what it is. Like you just have to kind of, it takes some learning on how to deal with it, especially given the current like climate as far as people don't like going out to the parking lot anymore and just duking it out and getting it out of your systems, because they want to file assault charges and stuff like that nowadays. So you just have to learn to walk away.
Absolutely. Is there a particularly humorous or unusual event that comes to mind, aside from mopping upside down?
Oh, humorous? Oh gosh, which one? We had, so whenever we had a problem with like a circuit and it wasn't flight essential, like a bell mouth heater in the summertime, on one of the Cobras, we would take a zip tie and zip tie the circuit breaker out. Well, we had this plane captain. His name was Yamamoto, Lance Corporal Yamamoto. We called him Moto. He decided to take a pair of dikes and cut that zip tie off that circuit breaker. He set an aircraft on fire. So he walks nonchalantly the 1/4 mile over to the strip shack and goes, "Hey, Sergeant. Yeah, I'll get to you in a second, Moto. But Sergeant, my aircraft's on fire." Yeah, I'll get to you in a minute. Wait, what did you say? Get out there and put it out. And then they wrote him up for a medal, so he actually got a Navy Achievement Medal for putting the fire out that he started. Yeah. There was another time, it was actually pretty funny. We had a guy, there was a joke on the 20 mic, if you get down and blow on it like a trumpet, it'll have the AVI horn or the ordnance horn or whatever. And he was trying to screw with one of the new guys out there at 29 Palms, and he ended up spinning the barrel, and he had forgot that there is a rather large capacitor for that 500 volts that sets those, because those rounds are electrically fired, not with a firing pin. Yeah, he forgot about that capacitor still probably having a charge in it, and he rolled the barrel after ordnance had loaded it, and he didn't know it loaded. And so he rolled the barrel, and it set him 20 mic off. So we got to sit there and watch it bounce across the desert floor for miles and miles before it finally stopped. It was great. There's also the time a ordnance got a brand new PFC in from the schoolhouse. Now this one's absolutely hilarious. There was a porta-john right next to the taxiway, and because the 53s that we were sharing the line with out there, they had wheels, so they'd come and land on the taxiway and then like roll into, well, that porta-john was positioned door away from the taxiway. He stepped in it, a CH-53, which is a very large helicopter, came and landed, blew the porta-john down on the door. And about that time, our aircraft started turning up and we needed to go out to the line and get them out. Well, and finally, once all our aircraft had left, and mind you, this was like 45 minutes later in the summertime. Kid, brand new, fresh camis and everything. And they're like, hey, anybody seen POC so-and-so? Didn't he go in the porta-john right before that 53? Oh. We called him Smurf after that. He got very lucky. Very lucky that the truck just came and cleaned that sucker out before. I'm just saying. Yeah, we called him Smurf.
You may have thought you had bad days, but never got pushed over by aircraft in a porta-john bad days. Did you stay in touch with family and friends?
While I was in? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tried to most of the time. Like if I was working, like if we had a 12-hour day, that was considered a very short day. Hey, but I would try to call on any days off that I had. Would call and check in, see how things were going on. But then again, like you get busy and you can't really keep 100% in touch because you're going 100 miles an hour busy.
Absolutely. Did you ever go home to visit family?
Yeah, I took leave. Leave would drive home.
How was that?
The drive?
You drove?
Yeah.
And this was from where again? Remind me.
Camp Pendleton, California, just south of LA on the west coast.
You drove from California to Texas?
Yeah.
In one sitting?
Mm-hmm.
That's 20 hours?
Thereabouts, yeah. Mass Sergeant would always wait till the very last minute to approve your leave, and by that point, a plane ticket was super expensive, and diesel wasn't that expensive compared to the plane ticket, so I just drove. I was either pay $900 for a set of plane tickets or pay $200 round trip for diesel, and I was poor.
All right.
$700 a month to live on diesel, $4 a gallon. It sucked.
Yeah. I used to live that diesel life when it was like $5 a gallon.
Back in 21, 22, whenever it got like $7.25 a gallon, yeah, I was spending $275 a week to drive to school. Mm-hmm. School here. It was bad.
Yeah. Back when diesel, I remember being in Oklahoma and it was $150 to put a half a tank in the truck.
Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, my dad would hand me a $20 bill after filling his tank up because you could pump and then go pay for it back then. He'd hand me a $20 bill and then he would tell me, okay, get us each a Coke and a candy bar and then bring me back the change after you pay for the gas. Okay. And that would buy 35 gallons of diesel and a Coke and a couple candy bars. I miss those days.
I do not blame you. Where were you when you got out? Like on the last day of your service?
Camp Pendleton.
And what was that like?
It was fun because you're ready to get out of there. Or you're ready to just go home and be done with the Marine Corps at that point. And the most annoying thing is you have to go to what's called IPAC. Don't ask me what that acronym stands for anymore. I can't remember. And you'd basically sit down and wait forever for them to give you your DD-214, which is your official separation of duty or separation from the service, and then you can go home after that. I got there at when they opened up at 08, and I didn't get to go home. Didn't get my DD-214 up until about 4 o'clock that afternoon. It was horrendous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're like, I just want to get out of here. And then you drove back to Granbury?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then from there, I worked as a diesel mechanic at a trucking company for the oil field in Glen Rose. From there, went to a truck stop, worked as a diesel mechanic. And then I tried to go to a school to get my airframe and power plant license with the FAA. That didn't end up working out at all. Well, from there, went paved roads down in Austin for a summer. That sucked. And then I got a phone call one day saying, hey, do you want to work on airplanes? Yeah, sure. How much it pay? It was like $19.51 an hour. And I was like, shoot, that beats what I'm paying shoveling asphalt. Let's go. Okay, be in Oklahoma City next week for your orientation. Okay. So I drove to Oklahoma City, or moved to Oklahoma City, hooked onto my RV and went up there and worked at Will Rogers World Airport up there for, about 6 months. Got hurt on the job up there because a ladder went out from underneath me while I was carrying a bunch of components down from the flight deck. Heck, injured my back pretty good. And then from there I went down to the Corpus Christi Army Depot and I started doing military contracts after that.
Nice.
They paid a heck of a lot more. $19.50, $32.50. I will take $32.50.
How do you feel you were received by your family?
I don't know.
Well, like...
I mean, they were glad to see me, glad I was home, but I mean, other than that, I don't really remember much.
Okay.
I just remember the, oh crap, I don't get paid on the 1st and the 15th anymore, I need to go get a job. So I hit the ground running, hunting for jobs, and finally got one and started paying bills.
Do you remember how long it took you to find a job?
It took me about 2.5 weeks to find a job.
It's not bad.
No, it wasn't bad.
How do you feel the adjustment back into civilian life was for you?
It's still a struggle. I've been out for almost 10 years. Well, be 10 years next year. Here I don't get along with civilians very well, and I don't understand them. And I'm like, in the military, you're told to just stay in your lane, do what you're supposed to, and then in the civilian world, everybody's just jumping all out of their lane into your lane and back into their lane, and it's just... And then all of a sudden, you're the a-hole whenever you say, hey, how about you get back in your own lane? I don't know. I've lost several jobs from stuff like that, but didn't let it get me down.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you feel like's been tough to adjust?
Tough to adjust. The main thing is just trying to figure out how to deal with civilians for me, but I mean, the notion of being able to actually call in sick or something like that, that's been a game changer. Like, never been able to call in sick, before didn't even know what it was anymore at that point, and they're like, why are you sick? Why are you here? You're sick, go home. Yeah, but there's work to be done. Go home, you're sick. Okay, whatever. It threw me for a loop. Like David Johnston, the senior chief, I still have to, whenever he comes in sick, I still have to yell at him, go home. Home, but I mean, he served 20 plus years in the Navy, so he's not used to 6 days at all. He's even worse than I was, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a fun time.
Absolutely. When you came back to school here at Tarleton, did you use any of your benefits?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I used VRNE, or Chapter 31. Yeah, Chapter 31 benefits to get my bachelor's, and I'm using the Hazelwood Act right now to get my master's.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you feel like that's helped you? I know you had said at the start, part of the reason that you dropped out of school originally was because you didn't want to do loans and you didn't get enough financial aid, and you came back after doing your service and you get to use these. Does it make you proud?
Yeah, it makes me proud. I mean, the biggest adjustment I had was going from making, like $39.50 an hour to nothing, nothing in hours, and then you're like, I'm not making big boy money anymore, but I still have big boy bills to pay, so that was an adjustment. And then I remember one of the first classes I took here, the professor was like, yeah, you all remember this from high school. No, I don't. High school was 10 years ago for me, bud.
Yeah.
Can you give me a refresher? And he's just like, what do you mean it was 10 years? Yeah, I'm not 18, bud. I'm almost 30. 30, and then they'd have to I'm like, okay, well, try YouTubing it. Otherwise, meet me in office hours. Oh, okay. So I used YouTube back in 2022. Basically, I think it was pre-calculus I was taking right out of the bat.
YouTube University.
Yep. Hey, it worked. I got a B. I was happy.
Absolutely. Do you feel as though, people complaining about tuition and not getting financial aid and not getting enough scholarships, how does that resonate with you? What's your take on that?
Personally, I think Tarleton charges way too much. This school is trying to grow way too fast. Most students come here because it was a small university back when I started. And the university is not really recognizable anymore, especially the parking fees. Holy crap. Mm-hmm. It was like $90 to park for 13 months, and it wasn't a per semester thing. So they're like, yeah, just pay your $90 and you're good. It is more than quadrupled per the year on the same standard. And since then, I don't particularly care for it. I think college. I think there's a lot of inflationary fees and charges that's tacked into tuition that just shouldn't be there. Or personally, I think if you don't want to use if you're never going to use the rec center or something on campus, I don't think you already have to pay to keep it open. That's just my personal opinion of it, but
absolutely.
I also don't like having to pay for stuff that I don't want. So
makes sense.
I mean, that's kind of like taxation in my mind. I don't like taxes. I worked 90 something hours within 2 weeks at the Army Depot. My check before taxes was supposed to be $5,000. After taxes, I got $2,000. I was like, give me that back. You weren't there to earn it. Give it back.
Yeah.
Heck, so I'm just of the frame of mind of why not set it up if the students want to use the rec center, sure, tack it on to their tuition. And if they don't make them pay for something that they're not using. But that's just my opinion.
Absolutely. Such as university fees for online distance students.
Yeah, I don't get that one. Yeah, I've looked at that and I was just like, this makes my head hurt. Just turned it, changed the screen.
Absolutely. You've mentioned that you have continued some of your friendships from the service. You're godfather to a couple kids. How do you feel like maintaining those friendships has maybe helped you or been, how has that just kind of impacted you?
One of the things whenever you first get out, you're going from a very structured environment to no structure at all, and it can be pretty tough whenever you're just like, dude, what the heck am I even doing here? But having those connections from people that are experiencing the same thing that you're currently experiencing, it kind of gives you a network to fall down, or to not fall down, but fall back on and kind of help each other out, and it's makes a world of difference, because usually the people that you don't hear from and they don't talk to very many people from the military, those are the ones where you get a text message in the middle of the night saying, hey, so-and-so just committed the worst, and that's just been my experience personally. And David Johnston, he kind of keeps an eye on all the veterans in the wildlife department, and he kind of makes sure everybody's he makes his rounds with the veterans, and he'll make sure everybody's doing all right. If they need help, he'll find a way to help them out, type thing. And that has made a world of difference, because if I'm having a hard time understanding something, I'll just go to him and be like, hey, can you explain this? Put it in Barney terms for me. Make it simple, and he'll do his best to make sure you're squared away. I took many of his classes as an undergraduate, and for whatever reason, writing formatting just was not making sense. That man literally spent 6 hours a day out at the ag farm in the woods lab, teaching me how to actually format my writing and stuff. So you it helps to maintain those friendships. It really does.
Absolutely.
There's some people where I'm just yeah, I don't care to ever talk to him again. Hate to be that way, but yeah, everybody's going to have those types of feelings about certain people. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, most of the time you miss the clowns, but not the circus. Yeah.
And you finished your bachelor's, which was in
2024.
2024, and now you're pursuing a master's, wildlife and natural resources, correct? Mm-hmm. And what made you shift from this field of aviation to wildlife and natural resources?
So basically, I originally came to Tarleton to be an electrical engineer. They got up there and started doing a bunch of circle things and triangles on the board and putting letters, and I was just like, this ain't for me. I was like, well, I'll try computers. That makes a lot of money. Got into like the coding and the programming. I was like, screw this. So like my last ditch effort, I'm like, yeah, I'll go over to the College of Ag and talk to them. Like, this is my last ditch effort to keep from dropping out of school at this point, because of that, like, I was pretty much just like, yeah, if I don't get, find something that I don't enjoy, like, I'm dropping out and just going back to working on airplanes, because, screw it at this point. Point, like I originally come back to school and stopped working on airplanes because I was told basically if you keep crawling around on your hands and knees, you'll be in a wheelchair by the time you're 32. I turned 33 next month, so.
You made it.
Yeah, I can still walk. The doctors don't know how, but I can still walk. I blew my left and right knee out in the service. I'm 100% disability from the VA, so it's fun. But I went over to the College of Ag, and they're like, okay. Talk to the advisors. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? I'm like, I just want a job where I don't have to deal with people, and I only have to deal with my boss maybe once or twice a day. And they pulled out and went all the way to the back to the wildlife section. Like, we have these three. Screw it, that one. And I've been loving it ever since. So, just pure happenstance, pretty much. Perfect.
And what are you wanting to do with your degree? Are you going on for a doctoral? Are you going to work?
I'm going to try to go on for a PhD. I got to see basically how tired I am by the time I get done with this master's. But I'm fully planning on going for my PhD, and after that I don't really know where I'm going to go, but I'll figure something out.
Absolutely.
I don't really worry too much about the future. It can worry about itself.
Absolutely. That's a good take on life. Did you ever join any veteran organizations?
No, I haven't.
Perfect.
Most of the American Legions around here are a bunch of old farts wanting to still be able to tell people what they can and can't do, and I'm just like, screw you. I'm not going to pay you $110 a month just so you can get your jollies off, pretty much. So I didn't join the Legion, didn't join VFW. The VFW in Granbury is a bit of a joke, anyways. Like, they opened it up to civilians just to keep the doors open. And I'm just like, that's not a VFW at that point. That's just a bar. Yeah. So I never was really keen on any veterans organizations like that.
Alrighty. Did you ever attend any reunions?
Reunions? What do you mean? Like military reunions? No, pretty much our reunions are at funerals, unfortunately.
How do you, and you don't have to answer this, does that make you upset that your only reunions with those that you were in the service with are at their funerals?
No, because I mean, as busy as I've gotten with school and everything like that, and I know everybody else is busy with their families and their work lives and everything, I can't really blame them much. Like, we all pretty much say the same thing. We need to stop meeting under these horrible circumstances, but I mean, everybody just gets busy and time gets away, and next thing you know, you look up and hadn't seen anybody for like 5 years, and so you'll reach out and see what's up. And like, I had a buddy of mine. He did live in Memphis, Tennessee. He was a police officer up there for 7 years. He joined the Tennessee Air National Guard because he could no longer afford insurance for his wife and kids on the salary that he was making from the Memphis Police Department. And so he had a school for hydraulics for the Air National Guard that the Air Force sent him to up in Wichita Falls, and he would come down on the weekends, and then we'd hang out. So I mean, I got to catch up with him plenty and give him a bunch of shit.
Absolutely. And those are good memories, getting to see old friends, correct? Mm-hmm. What was your favorite thing to do in your leisure time while you were still in the service?
I couldn't afford to do my favorite thing. I basically worked on cars to make a little extra money on my free time. I worked on either my truck if I had money for parts, or I worked on other people's cars. Like, I rebuilt an entire engine on the side of a road there on Camp Pendleton.
Did you
PMO.
live on base?
Yeah. The Marine Corps doesn't hand out BAH like the Air Force. Like, they want you in the barracks with all the black mold.
Absolutely. What are some lessons that you feel as though you learned through your service that normal civilians who've never served have not learned?
Well, pretty much the American society, that's a very rare occurrence in the world. Like, you would meet, like, because we'd have other countries come over and like do training with us. Like, we'd have the Koreans come over, people from Taiwan, British, Australian, and you'd even have some other countries come over and like they'd sit there and tell you stories. Oh yeah, and like you're like, yeah, I'll give you a ride. Hop in the car, and they're crawling underneath your truck looking for explosive devices and stuff like that. And you're like, what are you doing, dude? Dude, like, oh, y'all don't have to do this? Well, what are you doing, and what don't we have to do? You don't have to look for bombs? I was like, no. Oh, so I mean, it kind of makes you, like, we take a lot of things for granted here in America. It's not really a bad thing, because I mean, a lot of men and women have died to keep it that way, but a lot of people, I don't think they realize how good they have it.
Absolutely.
I mean, like all the people claiming, oh, I'm going to leave America just because of political reasons. Here's the thing, if America was really as bad as what they're portraying it as, you wouldn't have seen back in 2021, whenever the abomination of a withdrawal from Afghanistan of people clinging to the side of a C-17. You wouldn't see that if it was really that bad. And you wouldn't see people, going through the hardships of crawling through sewers for miles and miles to get into our country at the southern border. Like, I think it's a load of crap, and people just take a lot of things for granted.
Absolutely.
And then like, you just, basically, if I start thinking, man, this sucks, I'll have to like, well, is it really that bad? You kind of have to put things in perspective, but a lot of people just don't care and don't want to be bothered to actually stop and consider things.
Absolutely. Do you feel like, and you may not have an answer for this, there's been a couple that are like, what? Do you feel that your military service has impacted your feelings about war?
I don't know. Basically, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done. But I think a lot of people who've never served, I think they need to take a step back and realize their opinion doesn't really matter. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. But like the whole Ukraine, people were like, "Oh yeah, send our military over there." I'm like, what? While you sit back here and sip on a martini? How about you go stand with them? Well, I don't want to do that. Then shut up. That's just my opinion on it.
Absolutely.
Like, people think that they are to have a say on where to send these men and women that signed a blank check and think that their opinion matters. It doesn't. I'm sorry. Not to be mean or anything, but it really doesn't, in my opinion.
I mean, that's not mean. That's the reality.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the reality. People are not willing to go over there and do it, but like, people will ask me, like, why are you such a homebody? Why do you just go to school or work and then home? School or work and then home. Why don't you ever go out and have fun? I'm like, I was seeing stuff and doing stuff at 18 that you never will see or do in your entire life. I'm just ready to sit at home. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Is there anything that you want future generations to know about your military service?
I haven't a clue.
That's okay. Is there anything that you would like to talk about within this interview that we've not covered yet?
No, I think we pretty much covered a lot of it. But like, for those that are planning on joining the military, I would say don't think that you're going to go in just because there may not be a war going on or you're not deployed that you won't have your friends die. Like, that's one thing I learned very, very harshly. Like, that's a very cruel lesson to have to learn. Like you're still going to lose people, even stateside, for like stupid things like drunk driving and stuff like that. And like, I had a buddy whenever I was I was one of the last 10 people to ever see that guy alive. If he went and got drunk, drove his truck off a cliff. Cliff snapped his neck and died like 10 seconds out on a Caraflight ride into a hospital. So I mean, yeah, people were like, "Oh yeah, it was so and so." I was like, "No, I just talked to him yesterday. What are you talking about?" No, it was so and so, and I didn't believe him until our CO was like, "Yeah, Lance Corporal so and so died last night," and like you'll get a phone call in the middle of early in the morning saying, "Hey, all hands at the unit formation, da da da." Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. Is somebody definitely passed away that night. Like my job that I had, the smallest mistake could cost people their lives. I had to carry around the burden of thinking that I killed an entire Huey crew for 2 years until they found the investigation was concluded, because I was one of the last people to work on that aircraft before we transferred it to a different unit. They took it out on a test flight to make sure track and balance was good on the main rotor, and they fell from 5,000 feet. Basically the main rotor and the tail rotor seized in flight, and they just fell like a rock into the desert floor. And yeah, that wasn't fun, but it definitely gives you a perspective. What it turned out to be was a snap ring was installed because Bell Helicopter didn't specify which way a snap ring had to go on. Instead of being installed like this, it was a half moon. It was installed like that, and it rattled off in flight, and then all the bearings went everywhere. Yeah, it was not fun because they brought that wreckage back to the hangar next door to our hangar, and that happened to be where we have to go get parts. So you'd have to walk by it every day while you're going to get parts. I don't recommend that, but people need to prepare themselves and think, yeah, this is not Call of Duty or whatever, like it's real life.
Absolutely. And it was just every day you were reminded of something that at the time you thought was your fault.
Mm-hmm. Like you.
How did you cope with that? And you know,
I don't really remember. I just remember like there was no way to get through it but to just get through it. It was
take it one day at a time.
Oh yeah, I mean you'd smell the jet fuel because that aircraft was fully fueled whenever it fell. Well, obviously there was blood in there that was sitting and basically rotting in with the jet fuel, and yeah, you'd have to see that wreckage every day. It was not fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for opening up about that. I know that that's
Oh, it's all good.
Not a favorable memory.
No. And yeah, I mean, it's just mishaps are going to happen, especially as tight-knit and as fast-moving as anything in the military is. Like, there's always going to be mishaps like that. So people need to, if you're going in, you need to be prepared for stuff like that. I know I wasn't.
Yeah.
Nobody even talked about that kind of stuff.
And a lot of people think, you know, just because you're only ever stateside, you never saw anything. Nothing ever happened to you. That's a stereotype in a way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we used to have CH-46s in the Marine Corps, and it was basically a smaller version that they used in Vietnam of basically the CH-47 Chinooks that the Army uses. The synchronizer went out, tore the aircraft in half. We had a rotor blade come flying across the flight line, smacked me in the chest, knocked me down. I mean, it was. The flight line is a very dangerous place if you don't watch what you're doing. To make things worse, like in the daylight, the tail rotor spins fast enough you can't see it. So you really have to pay attention to what you're doing, and know what you're doing. And like the old two blades, if the collective was all the way forward, they'd take you off at your knees with the main rotor blade. And so you had to really make sure you knew what you was doing, paying attention. Because I mean, Hueys and Cobras, they don't have wheels, so they do 5-foot hovers, the taxi, basically out to the runway for whatever air traffic control measures that they wanted to call it. It was fun. And you'd have to sit there and lean into the wind to keep from being blown away, or you'd always see that one guy that had his back turned, wasn't paying attention, he'd get blown down and rolled away. That was fun. And we used to have what we called flatline surfing, where we had these creepers and they had really good wheels on them. They'd roll real smooth. So you'd see a guy, he'd look over and see a helicopter about to take off. He'd come out from under the aircraft with the creeper, get right on the edge of the rotor arc, and he'd sit there and get blown down the flight line, go surfing on a creeper. It was fun.
Yeah.
And so it's just, that was one of the most, like, I guess, sobering realizations that you have whenever you're on your first day out on the flight line there, is just how many moving parts, how many moving aircraft constantly coming and going, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Like, especially if you're having to stick your hand into a transmission compartment with rotor brakes spinning at thousands of RPMs, and then on top of that, you have a jet intake right in front of you. While you're sitting on the stub wing trying to fix whatever, and it's trying to suck you in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fun. And like, I had a sergeant, who was showing me what to do. It was like only maybe a month into the fleet, and his finger accidentally grazed something that was spinning. I think it was the main drive shaft, and left his pinky just kind of dangling there and just squirting out a little bit of blood. And I was just like, "Hey, Sergeant." He's like, "Not now, Nugget. I'm trying to teach you something." But Sergeant heard it, and he's like, "What?" And then he noticed this pinky was dangling. He's like, "What the crap?" So then we had to shut the aircraft down and make sure that his pinky didn't fall out the aircraft. Yeah, we had to make sure there was no pinky parts so the aircraft was safe to fly. That was the dumbest thing ever. Yeah.
Searching for a pinky.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not joking, unfortunately. Yeah, we had an airframe sergeant. He had taken the test and gotten his airframe and power plant license from the FFA before he, not FFA, good gracious, FAA before he got out. And he went and hooked up the MRAs, which is the main rotor actuators. And what he didn't realize is all the connectors are the same. You can wire them backwards. And we had a Huey. She was Captain McCullough. She was flying that bird for test. It was time to go check the main rotor track and balance. Well, you have to fly it to check that balance. You can do everything on the tail rotor on the ground, but the main rotor, you got to actually go fly it. And she would go up, and the aircraft would like go off to the left or the right or whatever, and she ended up having to slam that thing on the ground to keep from killing anybody. It was bad. But that sergeant got sent to the brig after that because he was charged with, I think, gross negligence or something like that. It was bad. Yeah.
Nice.
Anything else?
Last question. If you could say one thing to high school students who could be watching this interview, what would you say to them?
Have no clue.
No clue?
I guess other than be prepared to grow up fast. Best I know, Tarleton kind of tries to, baby the freshman here, but you're going to end up having to grow up at one point or another, especially whether you go in the military or college, either one. Because nobody's going to be, forcing you to wake up and come to class or something like that. So if you want to graduate, you got to get up. If you go in the military and you're not there, well, you can go to jail for that. So basically just be prepared to grow up. That's the only thing I could say to them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today and taking time to come and tell us about your military service.
Yeah, no problem.